The wind screamed through the mountain pass like a living thing, clawing at torn coats and frozen skin, carrying with it the sound of desperation that no one else in the world could hear. No one except the giant man standing at the edge of the forest, his shadow stretching unnaturally long against the snow, his massive frame unmoving as the woman fell to her knees before him, her voice cracking as she cried, "Please don't leave us here." The words tearing out of her chest as if they were the last pieces of warmth she had left. And behind her, huddled together near the wrecked remains of a supply truck crushed by an avalanche, were 3 children and an elderly man, their faces pale, their breaths shallow, their hope flickering like a dying flame in the brutal cold. And the mountain man looked at them with eyes that had seen too much loss to be, surprised by fear, eyes that reflected the storm itself, ancient and heavy, as though the mountains had carved him from stone and grief. And when he spoke, his voice was low, steady, carrying over the wind like a vow, "I won't leave my family." And in that moment, the woman didn't understand that he wasn't just speaking to her. He was speaking to the mountains, to the dead, to the memories that haunted him. Because long before this storm, long before these strangers stumbled into his world, the mountain man had already buried more family than anyone's soul should endure, and he had sworn never again to abandon those who depended on him, even if it meant facing death itself. And as the storm worsened, he moved each step deliberate, lifting the truck door as if it were nothing more than scrap metal, pulling the children free one by one, wrapping them in furs that had once belonged to his wife, the same wife who had laughed in these mountains before the snow took her. And the old man stared at him with disbelief, whispering that no one survived storms like this, that rescue was days away, that death was certain. And the mountain man only shook his head, because certainty was something he had learned to defy. And as he led them into the forest, deeper into a land no map dared to claim, the wind seemed to follow, angry, relentless. But the giant man pressed on, carving a path with his body, breaking branches, carrying children on his shoulders, his breath steaming, his muscles burning. Yet his pace never slowed, and as night fell like a closing fist, he reached a hidden cabin built into the rock itself, a place known only to him and the ghosts of those he had lost. And when the fire was lit and warmth slowly returned to frozen limbs, the woman finally asked who he was, and he stared into the flames, seeing faces instead of fire, and said, "I am the one who stayed." And as the children slept, safe for the first time since the avalanche, the narrator's voice seems to whisper to the listener that some heroes are not found in cities or headlines, but in forgotten places where survival is earned breath by breath. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, remembered, and shared, this is the moment where subscribing isn't just clicking a button. It's choosing to walk deeper into the mountains where the strongest stories live. Morning came slowly, gray and uncertain, and the storm had not forgiven them. It only rested, waiting. As the mountain man stood outside the cabin, sharpening a blade worn thin by years of use, his mind heavy with memories he could not silence. Because every life inside that cabin reminded him of the ones he failed to save years ago when another storm had come faster than he was. And the woman watched him from the doorway, realizing that the strength she saw was built on unbearable loss. And when the children awoke, asking if they were safe now, he answered honestly, saying safety was temporary, but loyalty was forever. And when the radio crackled faintly with a rescue signal miles away, hope surged, but so did danger, because moving in daylight meant crossing a frozen ravine, known for swallowing men whole. And the old man argued they should wait, but the mountain man knew the storm would return by nightfall, stronger, merciless, and he chose motion over fear, tying ropes, lifting packs, placing each child ahead of him like pieces of his own heart. And as they crossed the ravine, the ice groaned, fractured, screamed, and when one child slipped dangling over nothingness, it was the mountain man who anchored himself, muscles tearing, boots sliding, refusing to let go even as blood soaked into the snow. And when they reached the other side, the woman collapsed, sobbing, gripping his arm and repeating, "You didn't leave us," as if she needed to say it aloud to make it real. And hours later, when the rescue helicopter finally appeared, slicing through clouds like a miracle forged in steel, the mountain man did not climb aboard, no matter how much they begged, because his home was not behind him. It was beneath his feet, in the soil where his family rested, in the mountains that had taken everything yet given him purpose. And as the helicopter lifted away, the woman looked back to see him standing alone, vast and unmoving, a guardian carved into the landscape itself. And the narrator's voice returns, slow and deliberate, reminding the viewer that some people save lives not for recognition, not for reward, but because walking away would destroy them more than staying ever could. And if this story made you feel something real, if it reminded you of the power of loyalty, sacrifice, and unbreakable bonds, then subscribing to this channel is how you ensure these stories continue to survive. Because stories like the Mountain Man's don't ask for applause. They ask to be remembered, shared, and carried forward, just like family.